Hello, I'm Chris Cloutier at Posterfix. Today I'm going to create a collage. I'm using newspapers that I have tinted with different colors and at different values. I strip them into various shapes, and in this case I'm using long straight strips out of vintage newspapers created before 1840, which is to say the paper is acid-free. What is collage? From the French word coller, or to glue, to stick together. Collage is a technique of art creation, primarily used in the visual arts, but in music too, by which art results from an assembly of different forms, thus creating a new whole. And I will be putting these together, creating a new whole. This can be compared with pastiche, which is a pasting together. Collage may refer to the technique as a whole, or the word collage may also more specifically to a two-dimensional work assembled from flat pieces on a flat substrate, such as this stretched canvas that I'm using PVA adhesive to glue with, mixed with methyl cellulose. The term assemblage typically refers to a three-dimensional equivalent. What I'm doing is two-dimensional. After 45 years of restoring vintage posters and paper ephemera, I enjoy working with wet paper. My collages may sometimes include magazine or newspaper clippings and other things, bits of colored or handmade papers, portions of other artwork or texts. And in this case, I'm using newsprint from the 1840s or before. The paper, commercial papers created before the 1840s, are without acid and therefore have a longer lifespan, and I want my artwork to last a long time. If I were to use more recent newsprint, which I do sometimes, it has a tendency to deteriorate from the acids, although I take precautions to negate that effect. In this case, though, I'm using purely acid-free paper. The origins of collage can be tracked back several hundred years, but this technique made a dramatic reappearance in the early 20th century as an art form of novelty. The term papier collé was coined by both Georges Braque and Pablo Picasso in the beginning of the 20th century, when collage became a distinctive part of modern art. Since I have been restoring posters for approximately 45 years, as of 2025, I have also been creating art from collage and collaged newsprint since about 1998. My first exhibition was at the Weatherholt Gallery in Washington, D.C. I've shown in several galleries in New York City, as well as Boston, Chicago, and Maine, Massachusetts, Brooklyn, and South Korea. Some art authorities argue that collage, properly speaking, did not emerge until after 1900 in conjunction with the early stages of modernism. My own beginnings were as a painter and an illustrator, and I find that I do have characteristics of my paintings influencing my composition as well as my sense of color. And it is worth noting that I still create paintings. I like the look of the newsprint because it gives me a kind of tone. The little letters, seen from a distance, look like a gray dot pattern. And if I use it creatively, I can create different textures in the collage. For those of you planning to come to our open house on October 18th, 2025, you will have the opportunity to see this work in person and even purchase it if you wish at a price more inclined to be what you'd get directly from the artist as opposed to a gallery who would probably charge twice as much. I hope to see you at our open house, Saturday, October 25th, 2025. Go to www.ohny.com to apply for your pass to get into the Navy Yard that day. You need to go there for Open House New York. The Brooklyn Navy Yard is a shipyard and an industrial complex in northwest Brooklyn, in New York City, New York. The Navy Yard is located on the East River in Wallabout Bay, a semicircular bend of the river across from Collier's Hook in Manhattan. It is bounded by Navy Street to the west, Flushing Avenue to the south, Kent Avenue to the east, and the East River on the north. The site, which covers 225 acres, is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The Navy Yard was established in 1801. From the early 1810s through the 1960s, it was an active shipyard for the United States Navy and was also known as the United States Naval Shipyard, Brooklyn, and New York Naval Shipyard at various points in its history. The Brooklyn Navy Yard produced wooden ships for the U.S. Navy through the 1870s. The shipyard built the USS Monitor, the Navy's first ironclad warship, in 1862, and it transitioned to producing iron vessels after the American Civil War in the mid-1860s. It produced some of the Navy's last pre-dreadnought battleships just prior to World War I, and it performed major repairs and overhauls of its dreadnought and post-dreadnought battleships during World War II. The Brooklyn Navy Yard has been expanded several times, and at its peak it covered over 356 acres.